Welcome back, gentlefolk and rapscallions of all persuasions. In 1997, science fiction television changed forever when a brilliant, straight-backed Air Force captain stepped into a room full of hardened combat veterans in preparation for going through the Stargate to an alien world. She was a theoretical astrophysicist, a combat pilot with over 100 hours in enemy airspace during the Gulf War, and notably, the only woman assigned to humanity's frontline flagship team, SG-1. But her introduction wasn't seamless. In the pilot episode, Children of the Gods, she delivers a line that has lived in sci-fi infamy ever since.
And just because my reproductive organs are on the inside instead of the outside, doesn't mean I can't handle whatever you can handle.
To modern ears, this is a clunky piece of late 90s writing. It feels defensive and blunt, but if you look past the writing of the era, that line tells us something vital about who Samantha Carter was at the start of her decade-long journey. She entered the Stargate program with a massive chip on her shoulder. She was a brilliant woman operating in two intensely male-dominated spheres, the United States military and cutting-edge scientific theory. She expected pushback. She expected to be dismissed, so she put up a wall. She led with her credentials, locked down her vulnerabilities, and presented herself as a flawless soldier who couldn't be broken. The true genius of Samantha Carter's character arc across Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis isn't that she stayed this untouchable defensive powerhouse. It's that she grew out of it. Over the course of more than 200 episodes, we watched her evolve from this defensive outsider trying to prove her worth into a multifaceted character. She was a deeply empathetic mentor, a brilliant scientist who embraced her own humanity, a survivor of profound emotional trauma, and ultimately one of the most capable leaders in the franchise's history. It didn't take long for the walls Carter built to start cracking, and in a way, this forced her to confront the idea she had built for herself of who she needed to be as part of this team. In the Season 1 episode Singularity, SG-1 encounters Cassandra, a young girl who is the sole survivor of a planetary plague. Sam connects with her on a profound maternal level, reassuring her that she will not become another casualty, and removing the tag that the girl attaches to her hospital gown to mark herself among the other victims. When it's discovered that the Goa'uld Nirti has planted a Naquita bomb inside Cassandra's chest, meant to destroy the entire Stargate command, Carter refuses to abandon her. This is the first major turning point for Sam. True strength, the narrative argues, isn't the absence of emotion or the ability to compartmentalize tragedy. It's the courage to stay in the room when everything is about to blow up, just so a child doesn't have to die alone. We see this radical empathy again with the Tolan in Enigma, where she champions the rights of a highly advanced, fiercely stubborn refugee population against the bureaucratic and military desires of those operating outside the SGC to strip-mine them for technology. And despite the fact that she or Jack would be court-martialed for interfering, she helps conspire with Daniel, a civilian, to assist the Tolan in their escape. But if you want to see the exact moment where the tough front completely dissolves, leaving behind pure, unadulterated competence, you have to look at the Season 1 masterpiece, Solitudes. Trapped in an icy cavern with a severely injured Colonel O'Neill, Sam is entirely on her own. There's no backup, no tech support, and no military hierarchy to lean on. O'Neill is dying, slipping into delirium, and Sam is freezing to death. This episode is a masterclass in showcasing female competence without the need for an external adversary to punch. Her struggle in this episode is purely intellectual and existential. She has to dig out a dial-home device, diagnose its power failure, and try to figure out a solution with frozen fingers and a fading mind. When she finally breaks down and weeps next to Jack, it isn't a sign of weakness. It's the realistic, exhausting release of being a human being pushed to the absolute brink, who still refuses to give up. This balance of empathy and hard-bitten resilience is put to the ultimate test when we enter the realm of her family life. Sam's relationship with her father, General Jacob Carter, is introduced as fundamentally strained. He is dying of cancer and wants her to realize her dream of studying space, and pushes her towards a NASA appointment, not understanding that she is already doing more than she ever thought possible. To save his life, Sam introduces him to a tentative and strange ally, the Tok'ra. This wasn't just a medical intervention, it was an act of immense bravery. Sam had recently been forcibly blended with a renegade Tok'ra named Jalinar of Malkshire. Even though Jolinar died to save Sam's life, she left behind her memories, her feelings, and a lingering sense of violation. To save her father, Sam has to willingly open the door to those terrifying residual memories. She uses her personal trauma as a bridge to forge a military alliance, advocating for her father to become the new host for the Tok'ra symbiote, Selmak. But the storyline doesn't let her off easy. The ghosts of Jolinar return to haunt her in the brutal Season 3 two-parter, Jolinar's Memories and The Devil You Know. When Jacob Selmak is captured and imprisoned on Natu, a literal manifestation of hell ruled by the Goa'uld Sokar, SG-1 must launch a rescue mission. To find him, Sam is subjected to a painful memory recall device that forces her to confront the deeply buried, agonizing secrets Jolinar kept. She is forced to relive the torture, the betrayal, and the loss that Jolinar experienced. Amanda Tapping plays Sam not as a stoic, unfeeling soldier or one who turns to anger and lashing out at those around her, but as someone experiencing profound psychological distress. Yet through the tears and the visceral terror, Sam weaponizes those very memories. She sifts through to find the tactical data needed to escape Natu. This is the ultimate subversion of the tough female soldier trope. Sam doesn't survive because she's numb to the pain. She survives because she has the fortitude to look the trauma in the eye, process it in real time, and use it to save her family. As Sam solidified her place as the intellectual and emotional heart of SG-1, her role naturally began to shift from someone proving her own worth to helping someone else find theirs. This evolution is beautifully mapped across 2 episodes that span seasons 4 and 5, Prodigy and Proving Ground. In Prodigy, we meet Cadet Haley, a brilliantly talented but fiercely rebellious young woman at the Air Force Academy. Haley is essentially a mirror image of a younger Samantha Carter, but without the discipline and an even bigger chip on her shoulder. She's frustrated by the rigid structures of the military, arrogant about her own intellect, and on the fast track to getting herself expelled. A lesser show would have had Sam pull military rank and deliver a harsh lecture. And let's be clear, there's some tough love.
Who the hell do you think you are? Ma'am? Do you think you're better than we are? Do you think you're too good for the Air Force?
But instead, Sam recognizes herself in Haley. She takes a massive professional risk by bringing Haley to an off-world research site, introducing her to the reality of the Stargate program. And she uses that to deliver a reality check with her mentorship, and reminds Haley that in the absence of evidence, one cannot assume their theory is correct just because they want it to be. Sam doesn't just show Haley the stars. She shows her the level of discipline required to stand among them. The payoff to this mentorship echoes beautifully in Season 5's Proving Ground. Here, Sam is tasked with running a series of intense, simulated war games for a new batch of SGC recruits, including a returning, much more focused Cadet Haley. In this episode, we see Sam operating completely in her element as an educator, a leader, and an architect of human potential. She isn't just teaching these kids how to calibrate a staff weapon or read telemetry. She's teaching them how to think under pressure in real time, how to trust their instincts, and how to value their teammates. By shifting from a lone wolf scientist trying to survive in a man's world to an active mentor shaping the next generation of both male and female recruits, Sam's strength multiplies, and she becomes foundational to the entire institution of Stargate Command. One of the most fascinating aspects of Sam Carter's writing is how the show handled her interactions with potential love interests who fell outside the safety of her immediate SG-1 found family. Throughout her journey, Sam attracted a wide variety of admiration, obsession, and unique partnerships that tested her boundaries and highlighted her multifaceted personality. Let's start with Nareem of the Tolan. Nareem represented a gentle, highly intellectual, romantic possibility. He was a man from an advanced society who viewed Sam not as an anomaly or a curiosity, but a peer. Their dynamic was rooted in mutual respect and shared scientific intrigue, notably the fact that he casually mentions he's studied quantum physics. Tragically, Nareem's story ends when the Tolan are wiped out by the Goa'uld, leaving Sam to carry the weight of another profound loss. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum is her harrowing, deeply unsettling dynamic with Fifth, the human form replicator. In Season 6's Unnatural Selection, SG-1 traps the human form replicators in a time dilation field. To do this, Sam has to exploit the emotions of Fifth, a replicator who was created with human flaws, including a capacity for cruelty, but also a capacity for love and trust. Sam connects with him, promises him that they will take him with him, and then flips the switch, leaving him behind to be trapped for eternity, or at least by the galaxy a few years until the replicators can reach the time dilation device and disable it. This is one of the darkest, most morally gray choices Sam ever makes. She chooses the safety of Earth over her own word, breaking both Fifth's heart and his psyche, and the fallout is catastrophic. Fifth becomes obsessed with her, kidnapping her in Season 8, torturing her with illusions, and eventually creating a twisted, ruthless clone of her, Replicarter. And this chain of events explores a profound truth about Sam. Her empathy can be weaponized, and when she is forced to compromise her morality for the greater good, the psychological scars are deep, complex, and terrifying. But Sam isn't just defined by tragedy and psychological warfare. She also has a wild, fiercely competitive, thrill-seeking side that the show brilliantly highlights in Season 7's Space Race. When the alien Captain Warwick approaches Stargate Command asking for help to enter a high-stakes interplanetary ship race called the Loop of Congarat, Sam doesn't just offer scientific advice, she enters as his co-pilot. Look at her energy in this episode. She loves fast engines, dangerous maneuvers, and pushing technology to its absolute limit. This side of Sam is incredibly important for her development as a well-rounded character. It reminds us that she doesn't just do her job out of a grim sense of military duty or abstract academic interest. She does it because she absolutely loves it. She loves the rush of exploring the unknown. For many seasons, Sam's romantic life was either marked by tragedy or swept under the rug of military regulations. Her first major romantic entanglement shown in the series was Captain Jonas Hansen in Season 1's The First Commandment. A man who went mad with power on an alien world, forcing Sam to confront her past poor judgment and help bring him down. For years after, Sam kept love at arm's length until Season 7's Chimera, where she enters a serious relationship with a civilian detective named Pete Shanahan. Pete represented a normal life, a life outside the top-secret confines of the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. He proposed, and Sam accepted, entering her second official engagement. But as the wedding approached, the cracks became impossible to ignore. Sam realized she was trying to force herself into a box where she didn't fit, with a man she didn't truly love with her whole heart. In Season 8's Threads, she makes the incredibly difficult, painful choice to break off the engagement, choosing authenticity over a comfortable compromise. Because the truth was, her heart had belonged to someone else for a very long time. The unspoken, deeply fraught dynamic between Samantha Carter and Colonel Jack O'Neill is one of the greatest slow-burn relationships in television history. Because of military regulations regarding fraternization, they could never act on their feelings. But those feelings could not be denied. In Season 4's Divide and Conquer, they are put through a Zatark detector, a machine that exposes subconscious programming by checking for hidden lies. To pass the test and prove they aren't brainwashed assassins, they are forced to admit a truth they had both buried deep down, that they were delayed returning from an off-world mission because neither of them was willing to leave the other behind to die. It is a heartbreakingly beautiful scene, but they don't launch into a passionate rule-breaking affair. Instead, they acknowledge the truth, put it back in its box, and return to duty. This restraint doesn't diminish Sam's agency, it highlights her immense sense of honor and dedication to something larger than herself. When she comes incredibly close to confessing her full feelings later in the series, it serves as a powerful reminder that her emotional landscape is rich, vulnerable, and deeply human. She is allowed to love, she is allowed to yearn, and she is allowed to feel the agonizing weight of duty competing with the desires of her heart. By the final seasons of Stargate SG-1, the captain with the chip on her shoulder was gone, replaced by a leader of unmatched stature. When Jack O'Neill is promoted to general and commander of the SGC, Sam steps up to become the official leader of SG-1. Her scientific achievements scale up to a cosmic level. She doesn't just fix broken alien laptops anymore, she manipulates Stargate mechanics on a galactic scale, working to collapse stars and devise defenses against the terrifying Ori supergates. And then her journey hits its natural zenith. She travels to the Pegasus Galaxy to become the commander of the Atlantis expedition. In Stargate Atlantis, we see the finished product of a decade of growth. As a commander, Colonel Carter is calm, collaborative, and fiercely protective of her people. She doesn't need to bark orders or give reproductive organs speeches to get respect. The entire room falls silent when she speaks because her legacy precedes her. She balances the rogue brilliance of Rodney McKay, coordinates complex intergalactic military strategies, and leads with a confident, steady grace. Samantha Carter is the ultimate example of a well-rounded, strong female character, because her strength was never static. She allowed herself to be changed by the universe. She loved deeply, suffered immensely, learned constantly, and mentored generously. She broke through the glass ceiling of the sci-fi world not by erasing her humanity, but by making her humanity the very source of her power. And that is why, nearly 3 decades after her first step through the gate, Samantha Carter remains an absolute icon. Tell me what you think of Sam in the comments below. Do all those delicious things that feed the almighty algorithm, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!